This device enables the same software and messages to be tweaked for any person. At first, it looked like sensors attached to legs, arms, a torso, and head. He's always been passionate about making or assembling something. He kept on winning various science competitions time after time. He holds the title of the smartest child, which he won at the Dyvo-Dytyna contest. The whole of Ukraine knows about his device for blind people. Meet the future Ukrainian Elon Musk, 15-year-old Ihor Shybka, tamer of microchips, sensors and transistors. He's always been passionate about making or assembling something. He had construction sets. Normal children, the middle Boris, he could just put it on a shelf and enjoy looking at it standing there. As regards Ihor, that lasted just a few minutes. He would play with it and then take it apart and make something new out of it. Ihor was born into a large family. He has an older brother, Boris, and an older sister, Maria. His parents, Olha and Ihor Shybka, have been teaching at the Astro Club of the Dnipro Young Technician Station for many years. They have prestigious awards for their contribution to the development of education and science. Boris had been going to ship modeling club for 9 years. Ihor also started going there and was fairly successful, but he didn't complete it because he eventually got into electronics. Boris went off to do freestyle wrestling. Ihor followed him and was once again quite successful. Igor had been visiting various technology competitions together with his family from his early childhood and watched older children participate. When he was about 4, he said, "I want to make reports just like Boris." Ihor has been a dreamer ever since he was a kid. We moved to a new apartment when he was 3. We had windows on the eastern side. He once came to us in the morning and asked, "Where did the night go when the sun came on?" Puzzled, we asked him the same question. It hid under the bush. When he was still in the first grade, Ihor went to his first serious contest, the all-Ukrainian colloquium Space Man Spirituality, where he presented his work entitled Solar Eclipse Imitation. When he stood there during his performance, he was shorter than the judges who were sat down. By the way, one of the main things they focus their attention on is the ability to defend your project verbally. Ihor's parents themselves developed methodological guidelines that help to teach electronics even to the smallest children. We had to experiment on him. The thing is that with such specific type of work with children, you need to guarantee the success of what they're going to make. Children get very upset if what they make does not work. They put so much effort into it. So sometimes you have to tell them, you'll take a look at it in the evening, and you sit down and try to make sense of it. Thomas Edison said that to invent something you need a good imagination and a lot of junk. Even though our heroes insist that we should call their devices children's educational projects instead of inventions, the process of their creation resembles actual research with accompanying discoveries. Just like with all radio enthusiasts, there is always a part that will come in handy. So they get a small box for those parts, which then turns into a larger box of various parts. By the way, I have the same problem, and then I tell the kids that they're not going to need certain things, because I know what will come in handy and what will not. Ihor learned very quickly. His teacher found out much later about certain skills he had learned, because he would learn some things from the older children. There's a certain learning plan where everything begins with the simplest circuits. They make a simple speaker out of 4 to 5 parts, which gets them interested once it starts working. Because if you start with something complicated, children can't comprehend everything at once, so it has to be broken up into stages. Thus, children gradually study new topics, learn to turn ordinary plastic toys into real robots, and soon after, try to create something of their own. Find something the world needs and only then start inventing, said Thomas Edison. That's roughly what the family of our young hero did. The project of the compensation system for lost vision was developed by Ihor's older brother, Boris. There were no fundamentals yet, and we had no idea what the device should look like. We assumed it would be something wearable, so we made this mock-up. If you equip a person with sensors and make some sort of processing unit, then this unit would be able to warn via a human voice to the person about common obstacles.
То этот блок может нормально человеческим голосом сообщать человеку о препятствиях.
Ihor soon picked this project up with the intention of continuing to develop it, finalize it, and make it more practical. My family and I started helping our hospital, where I saw the unfortunate people with eye injuries. I came up with an idea to help them in some sort of way. As I already had decent knowledge of programming electronics and processors, I decided to create a device that would help them. By that time, we had acquired some experience of other sensors with electronic components called SMD for surface mounting technology and parts. We decided there was no point in dealing with ready-made Chinese fakes and that we would design our own circuit. The development and improvement of the project gained speed after the device was tested by a person who actually needed it. Though initially the device indicated the location of an obstacle as left-right and above-below, Ihor came to the conclusion later on that it was much more practical to report the distance to obstacles in meters, as it's a more convenient way of receiving information. In winter, we had a man here who had lost his sight. He told us what would be the most convenient way to provide such information, because as a person with rich life experience and without eyesight, he got about using the length of his arms, which are about 60 centimeters long in an adult.
Удобно как раз он ориентируется на расстоянии вытянутой руки, он знает, что примерно 60 сантиметров взрослого человека.
If there is an obstacle 1 meter away, then that's roughly 2 arms, which helps him understand where it is relative to him. Ihor earned fame in Ukraine thanks to his project after winning the contest in modeling smart house devices and steam house devices. His prize turned out to be a 3D printer. It was then that he got the idea to print a spectacle frame so as to make the device more practical. Ihor developed special software to develop a mock-up of the device. When we started thinking where to take our project next, we already had in mind that we knew how to make electronics and parts that would make it possible to attach the whole thing to a person, so that he or she could use this device. We had all kinds of ideas, starting with placing sensors on a cap. Then we thought about making it an eyepiece, then glasses. There were also different variations of glasses with regard to their design and where to put the sensor. After we tested the glasses on a vision-impaired person, we got some feedback on the problems with it. So once I have finished my other projects, I'll continue working on the glasses in about a month or two. In its current state, it is still a children's scientific project. Ihor's idea was that all the circuit designs would be freely available on the internet, so that children of any similar group could make such a device. There is no doubt that demand for such devices exists. My former classmate from Nova Kakhovka, whose father also lost his sight in childhood due to diabetes, called me and offered to help to get it into production. Ihor was not going to stop at the assistant for visually impaired people. He's learning something new all the time and improving his skills. Thus, he added his own version of a smart home to his list of projects. Our father was more interested in the smart home idea. He wanted to understand how to get it done. He wanted to make it work. It's a whole modern world, an Internet of Things ideology. We first came across this idea when we were training a regional team for a hackathon. One of the reasons why nobody was setting up smart home devices at the time was because you had to pay for the connection with the cloud, which would allow you to control it. When studying web design, I thought I could create my own cloud on free hosting and connect some device to it. to an electronic socket, for example.
Какое-нибудь устройство, например,
Then he could plug anything into the socket, which is a universal device, and control other devices through it.
с помощью которого можно управлять другими устройствами.
As Ihor can create websites, he created a web page that served as a control panel. The page showed the temperature in the apartment and enabled wall sockets to be switched on and off.
И
We decided to show people how to properly use Internet of Things devices to save electricity. It might seem strange, but we do all sorts of things in our astronomy club. From philosophy to energy conservation, from geography to ancient history.
географии до экскурсов в древнюю историю.
Ihor's plans for the near future are to create a metal detector and something along the lines of a smart clock for his school.
Металлоискатель — это для...
The metal detector is for my hobby because I like searching for things in the fields with my friends. As for the clock, the idea behind the device is that the head teacher or his deputy could set the time for the school bell to ring.
Идея устройства в том, чтобы директор или зауч установил время звонков на смартфон.
And then a device installed inside the school would manage to bell ringing over the internet.
В школе управляла всеми звонками через интернет.
They say that if you have no time to rest at all, then it really is time to rest. Our hero spends a lot of time on his hobby, but he still finds time for recreation. I think it's very important that he has a group of friends. His classmates are his friends. Parents often talk with regret about how children don't know how to communicate and spend most of their time on the internet.
Дети не умеют общаться, дети сидят в интернете.
So I'm really glad that they have their own group of friends who like going out, and we live in a very unusual place.
Мы еще с 5 класса любим...
Since the 5th grade, we have preferred going for walks not in our residential area in Pridneprovsk district. So we go 10 kilometers from where we live, as there are empty fields with no houses, just the wind. We like to go far into those fields, away from people.
Мы любили там далеко пойти погулять, так подальше от людей.
Гуляем, наматываем круги.
We go out, ride around on our bikes. We once biked it to Sinelnikove and walked to a quarry. Both are pretty far away.
На карьер ходили, мы такое далеко, в общем.
С друзьями часто
We often play all kinds of games with friends.
именно вот
We play basketball, go jogging or climbing somewhere. We love getting together somewhere and relaxing like that.
собираться где-нибудь так вместе, отдохнуть.
Ihor's friends are very supportive. They don't just go out together, but also do voluntary work too. They describe Ihor as kind-hearted and good-natured.
По характеру он такой.
Well, he's kind by nature, but he has these mood swings when he doesn't want to do anything.
Можно так назвать. Когда
Says that everything is pointless and so on.
все, у меня все плохо и так далее.
Otherwise, he's a great friend. He always helps, lends us money when we need it.
Раз там день.
There was a situation when I needed some money, so I asked Ihor. He said no problem, give it back when you can. Or when we need to move or haul something, we can always ask him for help. There is no doubt that Ihor's life will be connected with electronics, since his knowledge is already helping him beyond the confines of his school and club.
Сломается, и
When something breaks at home, we don't take it to the pawn shop or repair shop.
какому-нибудь мастеру сам достал.
I get the soldering iron, find out what the problem is, and fix it. It saves time and even makes some money when friends or acquaintances bring something to fix. I can also make some things myself if we need something at home. A doorbell, for example, I can make it myself instead of having to buy one.
Надо дома какое-нибудь устройство, например, звонок в дом. Мне можно не покупать его, сделать самому.
Помню, в 6 классе.
I remember how I was trying to fix a drawer for 2 hours, and it just wasn't working out. Then Ihor came and fixed it in 5 or 10 minutes.
Все сделал.
I thanked him and asked him how he did that. He said, it just happened like that. We're sure that in the future, Ihor's professional ideas related to space will be implemented just as easily and quickly. After all, our young hero has almost decided what his future profession will be. We started thinking about what he will do next, and so far we've been considering the Department of Avionics. He plans to, as he says, work in electronics for spacecraft. I don't know where they teach this, but that's what he wants to do at the present time. Daring and talented, bold and restless, self-dependent and happy. They are our future. They're the future of Ukraine.